As a dad, it's easy to feel like you're not doing well enough, especially financially. With social media, it's easy to feel like every other dad is doing way better than you. But what does it truly mean to be doing well financially as a dad? Well, the answers are not what you think. Hey, I'm Doug, and despite earning a six-figure salary as a stuntman over the last decade, I was surprised to find myself in debt 4 years ago and have put my entire life on hold, including having a kid. Fast forward today, and I have £100,000 invested, I own my own home, and I even am expecting the birth of my first child any day now. I help dads just like you take control of their financial situation, no matter what it is. I spent years trying to get on top of my finances, and one of the biggest problems I had was I was focusing on the wrong metrics. I often looked at my possessions as a sign of my wealth, and that's not right. Instead, there are 4 metrics you should look at to see if you're what I call a financially fit father. Number 4 is going to really surprise you. All right, so let's look at metric number 1. But first, I want to ask you, what do 2/3 of all UK households have in common? Well, I'll give you the answer. They carry some version of consumer debt. Now, this type of debt is known as bad debt, not to be confused with good debt. Good debt are things like mortgages, where the interest rate is really low. Consumer debt or credit card debt is somewhere in the range of 22 to 28%. That's really high. It's so high that no matter how much you invest in the stock market, you're unlikely to beat it. So if you have debt and you have investments, it's kind of pointless because you're going to be paying more in the interest of your credit card than you are getting from the interest or the return rate of your investments. So needless to say, if you're on the S&P 500 and you're earning 8% but you're paying 28, that's not a good deal. The major difference here is that when you own a stock, you're getting paid the interest for giving them your money. When you have a credit card, you are paying the interest because you are lending the money. Don't get caught in this trap. As a father, you should be focused on building the generational wealth of your family, not increasing the credit card company's wealth. We should be leaving our kids happy memories and an inheritance, not a boatload of debt. For that reason, the number 1 sign that you are a financially fit father is that you are debt-free. If you are debt-free, then you have a solid base to start building your wealth from. Now, if you have debt but you're paying off more than your minimum, you're also in a good position because you will eventually pay off the debt. What you don't want to be is in a cycle where you are taking on more debt consistently each month or paying just the minimums. That's how you stay trapped in the debt bubble. Do you know the number 1 reason people use things like credit card debt or consumer debt? Well, it's a little thing called lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation. And let me explain it to you in a story. You've probably seen this before. As a student, you don't have much money, and so you live pretty frugally. You have pieces of bread with mayonnaise and butter on just to try it out. But then you get a job, and it's amazing because now you don't have to live in squalor anymore. You upgrade. You get a nicer place to live so you don't have to share with all of these roommates. That's good. You buy some nicer clothes. That's good too. But soon you find yourself in a position where you have to live frugally again because you've spent all the extra money you've earned in your new job. And so you ask for a raise. You get that raise and you think, brilliant, I don't have to live like this anymore. So what is the first thing you do? You upgrade. Maybe you live in a nicer apartment, maybe closer to town. Maybe you get a few more taxis into work. Maybe you get a nicer suit to go work in. And before you know it, you're back in a position where you need more money because your burn is really high. And so you get another raise or you get another job. But now you think, I don't want to catch public transport. I want my own car. I want my own house. And so you purchase these things and you eat up all that excess income. You start going to nicer restaurants, you start getting a nicer car. All of these things add up, and before you know it, guess what? You're back to a position where you don't have much left over at the end of every month. This is what happens to over 65% of all Americans that earn over $100,000. They live paycheck to paycheck, not because they're in squalor or they're in poverty, but because they spend just as much as they earn. That's what lifestyle creep is. That's what lifestyle inflation is. This is what most people in the middle class do. As we get more money, we spend more money. As a father, we are prone to do this. We want to upgrade our lifestyles to keep up with the Joneses. Now, this is a problem because we never have any money spare over to save or build generational wealth. So we just tick over month by month, year by year, and we never get ahead. For that reason, metric number 2 or sign number 2 that you are a financially fit father is that you live below your means, meaning that you spend less than you earn. And this remains the same even when you get a bump or a bonus or a raise. You keep that spending below what you're earning, giving you a nice bracket. Now, if you're saving up to 20%, you're doing really well. But just Having some left over at the end of every month is a great starting point. So if you're doing that, well done to you. Doing this simple act will actually put you ahead of 30% of the families in the UK. Now, staying below your means doesn't happen by accident. And if you're doing that, then it's more than likely that you are doing financially fit sign number 3, which is knowing your numbers. Which numbers, you may ask? Well, to start with, you want to know your cash flow, which is simply how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. Once you know that, you can get a better understanding of where you are financially and how well you are poised to pay off that debt or start saving for that holiday. Knowing your cash flow is a very good idea. It's really ground zero for all of this. But you can take this further and get to know your net worth, which is simply how much money do you owe to people and how much money do you have accessible to you. This can be in the form of cash or assets like your house, stocks, furniture, or even your car. Now, you can get both these numbers pretty easily with some calculations, or you can use a budgeting app like MoneyHub. That's the one I like to use because it's very clean and allows you to do this pretty automatically. So you don't have to look too much. And each month you can see how much you took in and how much you spent. And this will give you a better indication of how you're doing with your money. Because sometimes we think we're doing well until we actually see the numbers, which is why knowing your numbers is so important. Now you can even take this further and start to look at how much you should save for your pension and start putting that amount away each month. Or you may look at how much you want to save to send your kid to college. These are all good to know, and if you have the numbers, it's so much easier to look after. Now, knowing these numbers allows you as a father to take your family in the direction that you want and use money as a tool to get you there instead of a burden holding you back. Let me ask you this though. What is the point of money? Is the point to get as much as possible and squirrel it away and just never touch it? No, that would be useless. The point of money is to give us opportunity, is to enrich our lives so that we can enjoy it, so we can buy our kids lunch on a Saturday and not feel bad about it. Now, despite what you think, even people with lots of money fall into this trap, where they get so obsessed with the amount of money that they have that they don't use it. It then becomes a burden to them instead of a tool. We don't want that. Money on its own is pretty useless, and if we're not careful, it can become our master and can cause a lot of conflict and stress in our lives. Now, one of the best quotes I've heard along these lines is that I once knew a guy that was so poor, all he had was money. So financially fit sign number 4 is that as a dad, you recognize that money is a tool, not a crutch. You should be able to spend it without guilt and save it without stress. You know that money can be used to increase your life, and you know how to master it instead of it mastering you. It is not the most important thing. It just facilitates a good life. It is not in its own right a good life. Just having it doesn't improve your fatherhood skills. It is just one aspect of it. And if you use it well, then you can be a good father. If you use it badly, you can be a bad father. So if you're intentional about your saving, if you're intentional about your spending, then you're doing well. So to recap, if you're not in debt, if you spend less than you earn, if you know your numbers and you're able to use money in a meaningful way, then you are a certified financially fit father. Well done. These are great steps in looking after your family, protecting them and providing for them. But look, if you are not here or you need some more help with these things, then check out the description below. I've got 2 powerful links just for you.